Maybe you started to hear the buzz about the next major nationwide protest that's being promoted all across the country. Another No Kings rally. The organizers call it No King 2, the return of resistance. And it's set for Saturday, October 18th. In Denver, it'll be at the state capitol from 12 to 4. And much like the last big No Kings Day, there are also rallies at varying times that day all across Colorado. Arvada, Golden, Littleton. It's a long list. You'll have many opportunities to show up. We also want to mention a second protest opportunity sponsored by the Interfaith Immigration Network in Colorado. The Immigrant Rights Now rally is also at the Capitol. It's on October 16th. The organizers have been gathering signatures for weeks now on what they call the Declaration by People of Faith in support of the lives and rights of immigrants. And here's the gist of it. Quote, "We refuse to allow the politics of prejudice and fear to defeat the call of faith and love. We, as people of faith and goodwill, will stand with immigrant community members, and we demand that our governments do so as well." Our church, Jefferson Unitarian, is one of the sponsoring organizations, along with dozens and dozens of other congregations in and around Denver. And this Immigrant Rights Rally is October 16th, starting at 12:15. So with these two protests coming up, we thought it was the perfect time to share a conversation with a new-ish Colorado nonprofit called Embracing Nonviolence. So we're pleased today to be speaking with Daniel Mondragon, who is the director of a new nonprofit called Embracing Nonviolence. Hello, Daniel. Thanks for being with us today. Let's just start. Tell me about Embracing Nonviolence, how you started it, why you started it.
Very good. Thank you. I am so pleased to be with you. Thank you so much. Embracing Nonviolence really came out of a couple of things. Far back in my history, I worked years ago in the Justice and Peace Office with the Catholic Archdiocese of Denver, and involved in justice and peace work all throughout my career in the nonprofit sector. And then in the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd and so many other things that have been heartbreaking over the last few years in our country, just started talking with people and friends and asking, are you concerned about what's going on in our country and in our communities? And from those conversations, a small group of us decided to form Embracing Nonviolence last year in 2024. Spent the first half of the year doing planning and then kicked it off in May 2024 to bring the teachings of Gandhi and Dr. King on nonviolence to the craziness going on in our country today.
There are so many of us who probably watch this podcast of a certain age who certainly remember protests and things in the 60s and the civil rights movement and the nonviolence, but maybe not everybody does. So would you talk a bit, let's talk a little bit about Gandhi's and Dr. King's approach and why you believe it was so important.
Thank you. The heart of it really started with Gandhi, and he took a philosophy and a commitment that an individual can make to ahimsa, to not harming, to not kill. And he applied that to social settings and said we can apply that commitment to standing strong as a community, making a commitment to nonviolence, to not kill, while addressing a societal ill. In their case, it was colonialism. Getting rid of the British and achieving home rule or self-rule. For Dr. King, of course, when after finishing his university and pastoral studies to become a Baptist preacher, grew up in segregation and discrimination, and just was looking for a effective and moral way to address those societal ills. And found it in Gandhi's work of seeing an important way, a useful way to be able to counter forces that did not want to bend. And so adopted nonviolence as the heart of the approach for the civil rights movement and his work to be able to enable people who had been discriminated against, kept out, to be able to claim their rightful place in society.
Well, we certainly are in a place now where there are a lot of protests going on and a lot of people feel their rights are being trampled on. And so it does seem like the perfect time to talk about this approach again, especially when there are protests and we're at the west steps of the Capitol every other weekend, it seems like. How do we apply it to going to the west steps of the Capitol, for example? Let's just take that as a starting point.
Yeah, something that's very important, and something like that is so useful and so helpful for people to come out and to be able to see one another and to be seen as mass groups of people, to be able to demonstrate that yes, we are not happy with things that are happening in our country and in society. It is important to note, though, that Dr. King and Gandhi both had very specific purposes for the utilization of nonviolence approach. So they both saw it as a way of life, a commitment by individuals and as community, and as tactical to be able to affect change and having in mind a particular purpose. Dr. King's first campaign was in Montgomery, Alabama, with the campaign to desegregate the buses. Rosa Parks, she did not, that fateful day, December 1st, 1955, did not get up from the seat, and everything flowed from there. Dr. King was thrust into leadership of the campaign for that specific purpose. And so today, it is vital that individuals think about what's breaking their hearts. There's so much going on. And so one person, it may be LGBTQ rights or women's health rights, working against the deportations that are happening, environmental justice, democracy. So it's important for individuals to identify what is that one thing that's important to me, and then think about how to connect with others, organizations, groups that are working in that particular arena. I've had the pleasure of connecting a bit recently with an organization called the Interfaith Immigration Network, working on defending and walking with our immigrant brothers and sisters and standing up for and calling for our elected leaders locally and nationally to do better.
I wonder, there are maybe people who are not familiar with how it is exactly that the tactic works. I mean, what's the nonviolent piece of it that works?
Yes. First of all, it goes back to that commitment. Dr. King identified 6 characteristics of nonviolence. So the first one is nonviolence is for courageous people. It sometimes can be thought of as being passive, or you need force to get things to change. And he indicated that it takes courage for an individual to say, I am going to choose to love and not hate anyone, including those that are driving me crazy. And also, I am not going to turn away from working on difficult issues or injustices. So it starts with that commitment to bravery, and then from there, it is an unfolding of understanding. He also had 6 steps, Dr. King did, for implementing a process of achieving the beloved community, as he termed it, which is the long-term goal. From looking at a situation, asking, is this an injustice? And understanding the truth of the matter, finding out all about it, educating the community, including the opponents, about what is learned about a particular situation, going into negotiation and looking for a win-win solution. And if the other side does not want to cooperate, then it's direct actions. Then it becomes the bus boycotts, the sit-ins, the marches, to be able to bring about some tension into the system, to hopefully bring the other side back to the table, and then be able to achieve that long-term goal of building community together.
So really the basic question that comes to mind is, why does nonviolence work?
It's a wonderful question. First of all, from the evidence of seeing the success that did happen by Gandhi's effort in India and what Dr. King and others were able to accomplish during the civil rights movement, that commitment to nonviolence enabled concrete change to happen. In the case of the Montgomery bus boycott, the 381-day boycott of the buses by 50,000 people who were involved with the campaign in Montgomery. Not all of them rode the buses, but as one community, they stood strong. And it was effective in setting the stage for the Supreme Court to be able to rule that segregation was illegal. If they had not stayed strong and nonviolent, they would have not been able to achieve success there. They also, Dr. King wrote in his book, Stride Toward Freedom, the seeing the sense of self-respect and the sense of agency by individuals and the community. That was a significant change from the acquiescence of the community to just staying as second-class citizens in their own country. So there were successes in terms of the concrete change in law, in people's attitudes, and taking a step towards the beloved community. I think it is challenging today to wonder, can it work for today? But in light of seeing the continued uptick of violence against immigrants, against just ordinary citizens, in various ways, both physical violence, policies, and attitudes of superiority. It's going to take us staying united together and nonviolent to counter the violence of others.
So what does your nonprofit Embracing Violence do to spread the word about this? Do you teach it? Do you have, tell me about your opportunities that you have.
Yes, definitely. The starting place is the opportunity for people to gather in small groups. So I'll reach out to nonprofits, to churches, to community groups, or just put out word about when I'm doing what I term a critical conversation to gather people together, which is also vital in this time after COVID, to give people that opportunity to be nose to nose together again. To talk about in a safe space. And I put ground rules down for care for one another as we unpack what are the things that are breaking our hearts or giving us heartburn today, and hear one another and hear the commonalities, hear the differences, different perspectives. And then from that initial conversation, I do invite those that want to go deeper in understanding nonviolence to take time to work with me in understanding it by looking at Dr. King's first book, Stride Toward Freedom. This was the story of the Montgomery campaign. And so we'll do a book study and have the opportunity to unpack and glean lessons for today. And from there, I then help people as they indicate that which they want to be involved with, connecting them out in the community through my contacts in the nonprofit sector and governmental sector to help them think about how they can join with others to make a difference for today.
I imagine you noticed that this podcast is called Faithful Resistance. So where does the faithfulness reside in your heart? How does that help you?
Great question. Dr. King, both Dr. King and Gandhi were men of faith in their own faith traditions. Likewise, with the work that I have done in the Catholic community, as I indicated, and now in the Episcopal community that I am with, and also reaching out to a variety of different interfaith communities, it is a grounding for many of us. I also am deeply respectful of those that come to this work faithful to democratic values or social justice values, or just out of a sense of it's better for us to be nice to one another rather than hurt each other. So people can come at this work from a variety of motivations and faithfulness to something that's important to them. Well, we can walk together for the sake of building the beloved community, building e pluribus unum. It's also been a significant importance to me since high school and my first trip to Washington, D.C. Our founding values call for us to be one community out of many with liberty and justice for all. So we can weave together our American values, our U.S. values, and the beloved community.
And how do people reach you to explore this further?
I would love to have people email me at embracingnonviolence@gmail.com, embracingnonviolence@gmail.com. Can find us, Embracing Nonviolence, on Instagram. We're working on some infrastructure questions right now and don't have a website yet, but that will be coming.
Okay. We appreciate you joining us today and wish you the best with your endeavors, because we know the need for this and for pushing back and resisting is not going to be going away anytime soon. Thank you, Daniel.
That's for sure.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
It would be so great to widen the circle of people who listen to or watch this podcast. So please share it on your Facebook or Instagram page and encourage your friends to check it out and press that subscribe button. And by all means, if you have ideas for people to interview, please send us an email at faithfulresistance@jeffersonunitarian.org. And wherever you go, however you faithfully resist, keep doing the next right thing. Go out, do the next right thing.